Hold up, I am on my way. I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I put together 15 of the Valentine's Day Dollar Tree DIYs I've made so far this year on my channel, a coffee bar, and Valentine's Day DIY gifts. For this DIY, I wanted to make a chalkboard with all of the items listed on it for our bake sale. I found this at the Dollar Tree. It was kind of like in the school supply aisle, but it's a chalkboard, so awesome, because that's what I was going for. The thing is, I'm going to protect the frame with a little bit of painter's tape. I wanted to preserve the chalkboard, so I did try to use some fingernail polish remover on this, and it would not budge. So we're just going to have to paint it. I did not have any chalkboard paint, but black acrylic is pretty equivalent, so I'm just going to paint it. The only problem is it's going to take multiple coats. I think I did at least 3 coats on this to cover up all of that white writing, and it was a little bit textured as well too, but I was able to cover it all up, thank goodness. It might have been easier if I would have just used some black spray paint, so that is an option if you ever want to reuse this. I'm not going to be using actual chalk. I'm going to be using Cricut vinyl for my chalk, so it doesn't have to be a chalkboard paint at all. I can just use black, and again, lots of paint, but I was able to resurface it. And it's a really nice little chalkboard. I think it's going to be perfect for what I want to use it for in today's DIY. So I went to my Cricut and I made an SVG. I will share the SVG in the description of today's video if you would like to cut this out and kind of copy what I did here. I am just weeding the entire panel. I cut it all out on one piece of white. You know, since I've got my Cricut Joy Extra, I use my Cricut a lot more because I don't have to use the matte and I can use smart vinyl, and it just makes everything so much easier. I'm just going to go ahead and weed all the words. I know you can't see it right now. It's white on white on white, but it says bake sale at the top, and it has our menu, our prices of everything that I want to add to this. And I custom made this for the bake sale theme for this coffee bar. And I'm going to add a little transfer tape here, and we are going to peel this off. And peel and stick, so much easier than trying to have to write this with a chalk for sure. And I tried to do like a handwriting font, so it should be very similar to like writing on it with a fine chalk pencil. But you know, if you have like a good penmanship, you could always kind of just sketch it all out with a white paint pen or one of those little chalk pencils from the Dollar Tree. This is the menu. You can finally see it. It says bake sale, and I did pink cupcake, sugar cookies, chocolate chip, red velvet cake, and chocolate covered strawberries. We're going to be making the pink cupcakes, the chocolate chip cookies, the sugar cookies in today's video too. Lots of fun faux crafts. I did mess up my vinyl a little bit here, and I did not want to cut some more vinyl, so I just repaired that with a paint pen, and I was able to save that. Now I want to add fun little things like from the menu on here. I have a little felt cupcake from the Dollar Tree, and I thought we could add some of their wood hearts to it as well. I just want some other textures and fun things, so it's not just a plain chalkboard. I'm going to paint some of these in that salmon color, continuing that red and salmon pink color scheme, and just attach a few of these, decorating the chalkboard and the frame, just gluing these on with hot glue. Now at the top here, I thought a sugar cookie would be fun too. And check out these 3D erasers I just found at Dollar Tree the other day. They had sweets theme, and they had a lot of these. They have a little pink sugar cookie that I thought would be perfect for this. It's so cute. I just have to decide where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it somewhere. Then I realized I did not weed this completely, so I'm going to finish weeding that. I could see it now. I was thinking about putting it right there under bake sale, but I think a heart would be better there, so I think I'll just decorate the top of the frame with the sugar cookie. So I'm going to replace that heart in the middle with this little pink heart. Since I already painted it, I thought I might as well add it. And then we are going to glue on our little felt cupcake. And we're going to add our sugar cookie as well. I thought we could update the color since you can remove the top from the sugar cookie. So I did that and I painted the top of it with that same salmon color so I could kind of continue on the color scheme. You can still kind of see the candy sprinkles through it, but I can always add some more to that. I just put our little sugar cookie back together. It's so cute. There's also like candy, peppermints, and stuff like that, little suckers ice cream in that same package of erasers. And I added all of the items. Here is our little bake sale menu. I have this on the top of my coffee bar, and it got us all started for this great theme. And I think it looks really cute. All kinds of things that I would expect to find at a Valentine's Day bake sale. If you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I would really appreciate it if you would hype today's video. The next item I found at the Target dollar spot is this little Valentine cake holder. It was $3 at the Target dollar spot this year, and I have a fun idea to make it into a little planter. Kind of unexpected for a bake sale coffee bar, but I think it's going to work. I needed some foam to go inside, so I'm just going to use one of the Dollar Tree foam cones. It's about the right size. If I cut the tip off, I think that's going to fill it in nicely, and it's going to allow me to add greenery. I did attach it with hot glue here to the holder because the greenery that I'm going to add kind of drapes over to the side and I don't want that to fall out. I'm going to DIY a little house plant using some of this hanging eucalyptus. I have like one and a partial. And then to cover up the foam on the top, I also used a little bit of reindeer moss here for a filler. So you won't be able to see that white foam when I start adding these. I love these. These are one of my favorite greeneries from the Dollar Tree because as you can see, it cascades over the side. I thought that would give me a fun houseplant effect, and I'm going to do this for the top of my coffee bar. And I thought this was a fun way to use these little cake holders from the Dollar Tree. I didn't really want to add bakery items to it. I wanted it to be more decor because we're not baking in today's video. Like everything's going to be already made for the Valentine's Day bake sale. So I added all of the pieces, just adding the wire down and covering up the remaining styrofoam with a little bit of moss. Isn't that so cute? Little red and white cake for Valentine's Day. Target dollar spot always has the cutest things for Valentine's Day. And then I'm going to take some Dollar Tree little pink glitter heart greenery. I cut these apart and I just made 3 little picks out of this. This is just one thing of greenery that had those. And I added those for a little height for my house plant. And I'm going to add that here to the top of our Valentine's Day bake sale. Super cute and whimsical. I really love that cake. That was a fun find. I'm going to use a Dollar Tree little easel and a sign I got on clearance at Target dollar spot. It was like $1.50, but it's very similar to the sign from Dollar Tree. It's almost the same size as a sheet of paper. I didn't really care what it was on it because I am going to cover that up with this fun printable that I designed. And I want to make sure that you can't see any of those bright faces through this when I add it. So I'm also going to use an extra piece of cardstock. I printed my Valentine bake sale out on cardstock, and then I'm going to trim both of them at the same time so they will fit inside the frame. Now they're not quite wide enough to go all the way to the sides, but I'll show you how I'm going to frame that to try to fix that issue. The first thing I did was go all over the back of this sign with a coat of Mod Podge, and then I'm going to lay on my first piece of cardstock. That's just an alternative to save me from having to paint it white, but you could do whatever. And I'm going to be adding the Valentine's bake sale right on top of that. So once I got that dried, I went over the entire thing with more Mod Podge, and I'm going to lay my Valentine bake sale here on top. I wanted to do a lot of red and white gingham. I think that would be really cute with the bake sale theme. And I've done Cupid's Bakery, I've done Sweetheart Cafe, but I wanted to do bakery again, but I wanted a new take on it. So I thought a Valentine bake sale would be really cute to decorate my kitchen and dining room for Valentine's Day. I sealed the entire thing with more Mod Podge, and then I'm going to do a little DIY like mock frame here over here on the side. I'm using these little bamboo pieces. I get these on Amazon. They're really inexpensive, and I love them because they're about the thickness of a popsicle stick, but they're these little pieces of bamboo. They look really nice. So I'm going to need 2 of them on each side to be able to cover up where my paper starts and stops. and I'm just cutting those down with my miter scissors. If you don't have a pair of miter scissors for crafting, you really should consider getting some. I have these actually linked in my Amazon shop, linked in the description of today's video. They are great for quick cuts like this. So I'm just gonna put both of the bamboo pieces side by side, just attaching these with hot glue, leaving them unfinished bamboo. They're close enough color to the wood frame on this that I think it's going to look okay. And a bake sale is kind of like a homemade kind of thing. So we kind of have a homemade frame here for this. I have it all attached and I thought we could display it on a Dollar Tree easel like that. Now I wanted to do a little heart garland at the top. And so I'm going to use some of these little wood hearts from the Dollar Tree. I get these in the crafter square, not necessarily Valentine's Day, but they're so fun for Valentine's Day crafting. I thought we could paint them bright red and maybe like a salmon color pink because that's kind of the color that I have on the printable. So I used salmon color and I'm just going to sponge paint all of these. I love the little sponge paint daubers for a project like that. I'm going to cut a little piece of twine that'll go from one side of the frame to the other. And I'm just going to find the center of that and glue my middle little heart on here. I wanted to alternate colors, red, pink going across it. I'm not going to measure anything. I'm just going to hot glue one here on the end. Then I know I need to get like two in between and just adding a little dot of hot glue to space these out evenly. Super cute. And the little sponge daubers that I used to paint these, I just linked those in my Amazon shop as well. In case you would like to buy them in bulk, I find they are cheaper than buying them at Dollar Tree for sure. So I just glued that to the corners of the frame. Now this is one of the old style like easels from the Dollar Tree, but if you can get the easel kit, you can put it together and get kind of the same result. But this is our first sign. This is on the top of my coffee bar, a Valentine bake sale sign to get this little bake sale started. I think that turned out really cute and it was pretty easy to DIY with that free printable. Now we're going to break out the air dry clay. I got this for about $10 on Amazon for this giant 5-pound container, and we are going to DIY some chocolate chip cookies. So I took a little bunch of it and made a little ball, kind of like working with Play-Doh here, and just press the ball down, forming the shape of a cookie. I think that's a pretty good size for a chocolate chip cookie. You want it to be a little irregular too. And then I wanted to try out some of the clay supplies from Dollar Tree. This is a clay texture sheet for like a leopard print. I thought that might give me a similar like texture for a chocolate chip cookie. I also found little silicone lip scrubbers in the makeup aisle at Dollar Tree that I thought would work well for this. One side is like a fine little point and the other side is larger, but it's also got this other end that you can use to make cracks in your cookie too. So I was trying to distress it as much as possible to try to give me that shape. The clay tool I didn't really like as much. I liked some of the other items I found a little bit better for the texture of the cookie, like this. I found this in like the bath aisle, this dry brush. You could also use an old toothbrush for this too. And that gave me a really good cookie texture. That was probably my favorite way of distressing our little cookie. And then again, I do want cracks in it like a real chocolate chip cookie. Now for the chocolate chips, I thought we would do like big chocolate chips, like almost like a chocolate chunk cookie. And I am just going to take one piece. I rolled it and then cut it into individual pieces that I can shape into like some giant chocolate chips. This part was just kind of making like a cone shape with them, which was pretty easy to do. And it's going to be cooked cookie, right? So it's going to be really irregular anyway. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I was just trying to get like a general shape with like a flat bottom on these. And then we're going to add these to the cookie itself. I want to like kind of carve a little hole and be able to add the chocolate chip in there that will connect them, but still make them look a little bit separate. So I was careful when I kind of like just rubbed around the edges. It was wet enough that I didn't have to add any water, but sometimes you do need to add water when you're working with air dry clay. And I'm just going to randomly add chocolate chips all around. Some of them will be upside down with the flat side up. Some of them will be right side up like this one with like the little chocolate chip coming up. And so I'm just kind of carving out a hole, not all the way through, just enough to be able to make some room for the chocolate chip and then adding that in there. And blending it a little bit, but trying to keep it separate so I'll be able to paint these later to make them look like real chocolate chunk cookies. Really fun. I thought we would have about 5 or 6 chocolate chips on each one. And since they are fairly big, this is the first time I've worked with this air dry clay, and I really loved it. It was really fun to work with. It says it's white, but when it dries, it's more of almost a sugar cookie color. So we're going to be making sugar cookies with it today too. So that worked out well for me. Now that I have them all in there, I just made sure to add a few more cracks to it, gave it a little bit more cookie texture with the dry brush, and just kind of worked with it while it is wet. And to dry this even faster, I'm going to use my air fryer at the lowest temperature. And I found this tip online. It actually worked pretty well because I did not have a day or two to let this dry. So this is our fourth and final chocolate chip cookie. We are going to take this to the air fryer, and the trick is to put it in a cold oven. So I'm going to be putting it in a cold air fryer, definitely not preheating. And then you want to let it cool down in the air fryer. So you don't take it out, you wait till your air fryer gets cool again, and that's when you can take it out. And that prevents cracking or any damage to the air dry clay. And it's going to allow us to dry these faster so that we can paint them. So I went in and I'm going to choose 15 minutes, and then I am going to set this to the lowest temperature that I could get. It was 170. Turning preheat off. I'm going to add our little chocolate chip cookies here to the air fryer and then let those cook. And then what I did was just let it cool down afterwards until I could remove these. And now they are hardened enough where I can paint them. And they really don't look that much different, but they are definitely harder. Now to paint them, I used a couple different colors. I started with like some beige acrylic paint and went over them to give me a base coat for the chocolate chip cookie. And it's definitely going to take lots of different colors of brown and white to get these looking the way I want. I did a little bit of burnt umber here around the edges to try to give me a base coat that they're crispier around the edges. That might be a little dark. And then I'm going to mix together some colors. I mixed together some beige and some brown, and that gave me a little bit darker color than I used originally. I just sponged that all over as well and kind of blending everything together. I added a little dot of orange paint because I thought it needed to be a little bit more of a warmer color, at least for part of it, and then sponged that on as well. We're going to do with different coats. Some of these I mixed while they were wet. Some of them I waited for it to dry a little bit in between. I went over with a little bit of ivory to give me a little bit of white tones in the cookie batter. Mixed in some more brown. And I think this color might be better for the crispier edge than the burnt umber. It is a little bit lighter and definitely looks like a crispy outer edge of a chocolate chip cookie. And then I kind of just mix the browns together to distress it. I'm using that burnt umber here for the chocolate chips and just a small paintbrush. Since they are little separate pieces of clay, they were pretty easy to paint without getting any on the cookie. And if I do get any on the cookie, I can always touch it up a little bit with the original color. And I'm just going to do that on all 4 of my cookies. They are turning into realistic chocolate chip cookies. Making all the faux desserts today for the Valentine's Day bake sale was definitely my favorite thing. So cute. And you could use these for other holidays with a sweets theme as well. Now that I have them all painted, I'm going to go in, add a little bit more color here and there, making sure all of my chocolate chips are all one color. I did like distressing with a little bit of ivory to give it a little bit more character. You don't want them all to be the same color. And then kind of going back and forth with different colors until I am happy with it. I do want the chocolate chips to pop a little bit more, so I did go in there with a second coat of the burnt umber to cover up any of the heavily distressed chocolate chips, because I do want those parts of the cookie to be mostly a dark brown for the contrast. Then this color of brown, I kind of just go in here and fill in some of the cracks that we dug in there to make those little parts of the cookie a little bit darker, and just have fun painting these. You can get the littles involved too. You can get really creative with these. I added many layers of paint to these, but I was really happy with how they turned out. Our little realistic chocolate chunk cookies here. I think they're looking pretty good. I added a little bit more distressing here and there until I was happy with them. And then we're gonna bag these into these little zipper seal bags that I found from Dollar Tree and tie them with some baker's twine and that red and white. I got some of that at Dollar Tree. I thought that would be perfect. These little bags from the party section were the perfect size. You get 40 of them for $1.25. I just cut the Ziploc off the top so we could tie them with the red and white baker's twine. I thought that would give it a really cute look for a Valentine's Day bake sale. So I'm going to bag all 4 of our cookies, and then we are going to display these in a Dollar Tree jar. So it looks like they are ready to sell. This was one of the items that we added on the chalkboard that we have listed for our bake sale. This was such a fun theme to do. I really love how these DIYs turned out. So one more cookie, we're gonna bag it. And I tried to individually package everything on this coffee bar because a bake sale, you want it ready to go and you want it to be like little sanitary baggies of cookies. So I'm gonna use like this jar. I think this is like more of like the medium size jar from the Dollar Tree. I found these in the glassware aisle with like the kitchen glasses and stuff like that at the Dollar Tree. And I only have 4 cookies, so I think this is gonna be perfect because they are pretty big. So I'm just going to lay those in there, kind of have them going different directions. So it looks like they're all piled in there for sale, and just screw the lid back on. I did want a little pop of color, so I added some of the red and white gingham ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna add that here to the outer edge of the jar just to bring a little bit of color. You could also cover the top of it with red and white gingham fabric if you wanted to, but I didn't really want to hide any of the cookies. I want them to be on display, and I want you to be able to see how cute they are. Here are our faux chocolate chunk cookies. I have these on the bottom shelf of my coffee bar, and I think they turned out so cute. They were a lot of work, but I really enjoyed them. Now, the next item, I picked up a cookie cutter from Michael's because I did not have the right size heart one. And we're going to make some sugar cookies. So I thought these would be perfect. I just take some of that air dry clay, and this time I am going to roll it out like you're making sugar cookies, right? We're also going to use the air fryer to dry these as well. I found these clay tools at the Dollar Tree, and it includes a little roller, kind of like the roller that you use for Play Doh. And I just rolled this out without having to use a rolling pin or anything like that, and used our little heart-shaped cookie cutter. Michael's was the only place I could find heart-shaped cookie cutters this year, but they did have a lot of them to choose from and they weren't super expensive. So I went ahead and cut that one out, just making sure the edges are smooth. And then I added cookie texture, but only with the dry brush. The sugar cookie really shouldn't have much texture, and we're going to frost these as well. So you can kind of lay out as much as this as you want, roll it out, and use your cookie cutter to cut as many as you need. I was using one of these little glass cutting mats from the Dollar Tree, and it worked really well. The clay didn't stick to it at all. I actually left the packaging on it to make it even easier to use, like the plastic wrap on the back of it you see there. But it also has a texture on that too, which I appreciated for making the cookies. So again, just taking the clay, rolling it out, using the cookie cutters. This is exactly like making real sugar cookies. So funny. I had the entire counter lined up with cookies to bake in the air fryer. When my husband came home, he was like, "Oh, cookies." And I'm like, "No, these aren't to eat." Now I'm going to have to make real ones, huh, to go with it. So I can fit 4 in my air fryer at a time. So I did 4 of these first, textured them all with a dry brush, and took them to the air fryer. Now I want to do a large jar of sugar cookies, the heart shaped. So I'm going to go ahead and do another set. So I did 4 before that are cooking in the air fryer, and then I'm going to go in and do 4 more. Super easy. I really am a huge fan of working with this air dry clay. I thought it was so easy to work with. I've worked with the Model Magic a lot from Dollar Tree and Dollar General, but the air dry clay was even more fun, and it dried a little bit harder, I think, than the Model Magic. And the only thing I was worried about was the dry time, having to wait 2 or 3 days at most, with the humidity here in Florida for this to dry out. But the air fryer hack was great. I think you could do the same thing in your oven just by setting it as low as it will go, putting it in a cold oven, and then letting it cool off in the oven. It's the temperature changes that you want to try to avoid. I did 15 minutes in the air fryer. You probably could have done 20 minutes, but I didn't want to take any chances. So we have all of our hearts cut out, texturized, and I'm going to cook that one as well. So for frosting, we're going to use spackling. I had to pick this up at the hardware store because I haven't found spackling at Dollar Tree in like 8 months. I don't know if they quit carrying it. I miss that product a lot. But we're going to mix it with paint to make faux frosting. This is a lightweight spackling, and I got a big container of it, and that gave me the perfect color just by adding that salmon color paint to this. And I'm just going to use an actual like little frosting knife here that I guess I'm going to have to donate to my crafting supplies now. But they used to have like cake decorating stuff at my Dollar Trees, but I went to 2 stores before making this video and they didn't have anything. Like with the frosting bags and all that kind of stuff, and like the little spatulas like this, couldn't find a thing. I don't know why they discontinued that. That was an item I love to buy at Dollar Tree. But I'm just frosting my cookies. They're not perfect, but they're not supposed to look perfect. They're supposed to look like real frosted sugar cookies. And I didn't paint them at all because I think that that clay looks like a sugar cookie, right? And since I'm frosting them, I didn't really need to make the outer edges look more cooked or anything like that. I'm just covering the entire cookie with the pink frosting. Here is our second batch of cookies that we cooked, and we are going to frost these as well. I wonder if the YouTube algorithm really thinks that I am decorating real cookies if this is a baking video. I hope not. Hey, YouTube, this is a crafting video. This is not a baking video. I do like baking. I'm not famous for my cooking, but I do like baking. I think it's one of those things where sometimes you like one more than the other. And of course, the sweet treats are nice too. And you'll have to let me know in the comments below if you like baking or cooking better, or if you are good at both of them, or if you do not like to cook at all. I don't blame you. Now, to make the frosting look wet, I'm going to use some gloss Mod Podge over it. So I slightly dried these and then I went over them with that glossy Mod Podge to make the icing, the frosting shine, because it kind of had a matte finish, especially with that paint added to that spackling. And that did make them look kind of wet. Now we're going to use those same little plastic treat bags to bag our little sugar cookies. They fit in here nicely. And I'll link the cookie cutter that I got at Michael's in today's video as well if you need a kind of a smaller, medium-sized heart-shaped cookie cutter for your faux cookies. And so again, I'm going to cut off the top of the bag, the Ziploc, to make them look just like little baggies that are tied with baker's twine. I love finding baker's twine at Dollar Tree when I can because it works great for Valentine's Day and Christmas crafting. It just looks so cute and classic. And again, I'm just going to tie these all in here. No rhyme or reason which way I put them in here, just whatever way they would fit. I kind of like the idea of them going all different directions when we fill up our jar of sugar cookies. And for this one, we're going to use another Dollar Tree jar, but this time we're going to be using the large jar because I wanted a large jar of heart-shaped cookies. And then I'm going to kind of pair these 2 jars together, and I will show you how that all turned out. Super cute. Just tying all of our cookies together. Again, I'm not going to do really anything to this jar. It's a nice large one. The only thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of red and white gingham to the lid like I did with the other ones. Just removing the sticky tag here from the bottom of the jar. And then we are going to load this up with cookies too. I'm going to go ahead and add that ribbon now. So I don't forget adding a dot of hot glue, gluing that on there and just gluing it to itself. Something easy. If I want to reuse this jar for something else, that's going to be really easy to remove. Now to load this up with our faux sugar cookies, I'm going to have them kind of going all different directions. And I think 8 was a perfect amount to make for this size jar. And if you wanted to label these as well, it'd be cute, the jars, but I wanted you to be able to see the cookies. I worked so hard at making the cookies look realistic that I want them to be kind of the star of the show. I don't want them to be hidden behind a label on the jar, but you could also label the top of the jar too. But being on a coffee bar, I don't think you'd be able to see it. But there it is, our little jar of pink frosted sugar cookies. And this is what it looks like combined with the little jar of chocolate chunk cookies. So fun. I think they look so cute together. Now, I wanted to make another sign here for the bottom shelf. I'm going to use one of these Dollar Tree chalkboard signs. This was the perfect size that I wanted for the back of my sign. And so I just went ahead and removed everything on there, and we're going to cover this with fabric to make a fun frame for this sign. Now, I don't want you to be able to see the words though coming through the fabric. So I am going to go over this with a couple coats of white acrylic just to kind of mask those words. You could also DIY the back of yours if you wanted. I just didn't want the back of mine to say this, so I just went ahead and went over it with a couple of coats just to mask the writing. And then I am going to add some red and white gingham fabric that I found from the Dollar Tree that I think is going to be the perfect backdrop for this sign. Now, we've already done the chalkboard with all of the menu on there. We've done our giant Valentine bake sale sign with the easel. So for this one, I wanted to make something related that you can see at a bake sale. So we're going to do hot cocoa, which is going to go with my coffee bar theme. So this is the fabric from the Dollar Tree. It's kind of rolled up, so it does need to be ironed. I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece a little bit larger than I need, and we're going to cover the entire sign with this. Now, I do have my heat press on my crafting station. I love that. It's such an easy way to iron materials for crafting, and so that is what I'm going to do with that piece of fabric. So it's nice and flat, and we can add this to the sign. I like to use Dollar Tree fabric, kind of like you would use scrap paper because Dollar Tree doesn't really carry that. But they have some great fabrics like this that you can use to make a background. And I love the fact that it's going to be textured fabric too. I just covered the entire painted sign there with Mod Podge and just laid the fabric on top, smoothing that out with a dry paper towel, trying to make sure that I got good adhesion and no bubbling. Once I got that on there, I'm going to cut off the excess fabric. I don't think it will fray too much since I kind of have the edges sealed here with Mod Podge. At least that's what I was hoping for. But I did try to cut it with some sharp scissors and cut it as close as I could get to that chalkboard. And then we have a background. So for the sign itself, I'm going to use one of these little horizontal signs from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make it a vertical sign. I'm just going to actually DIY the back of it. So I removed the wood bead hanger and these annoying staples on there. The Cricut weeder works great for getting these little Dollar Tree staples out, and then a pair of pliers to pull these out. That way I have a flat surface where I can DIY my own sign. I didn't want the wood slats, so we're using the back of it. And I designed this free printable. I printed this out on cardstock, and I will include a link to this printable in the description of today's video. It says hot cocoa for sale, 50 cents warm up here. So it goes great for Valentine's Day. It also goes for like a winter theme. And I think it's something that kind of makes sense going with our bake sale theme. And then we can add some like hot cocoa items to this coffee bar as well. I went ahead and covered the entire back of the sign with Mod Podge. And again, I made the printable. I printed it out on cardstock. I like to do that because it decoupage is so much better than paper without any wrinkling. You don't really have to wait for it to dry. I use a dry paper towel to smooth that out, and then I can go in and immediately seal the top of it with more Mod Podge without having to dry everything in between coats. Super cute. I love how this turned out. Then I took a little bit of burnt umber and I am just going to distress the edges, making them look kind of old and rustic. And I like how that turned out. Anywhere that was a little bit too dark, I blended it in with a baby white, but I thought that gave a little bit of character since this part of the sign doesn't have a frame. Then we're going to add this to our red and white gingham backdrop. I thought that that could be like a mat to go behind the art piece. I'm going to hot glue this right here in the center. Now this wood sign sits up a little bit, but I do want to frame the entire piece, and I'm going to do that with the easel kits from the Dollar Tree. I love these for crafting. They're so much fun. They have all these great pieces of wood in them. I'm going to need some longer pieces for this, so I can use the 2 long pieces from the sides, and then I have another one that will work for that, but I don't want any holes in them. So I also went ahead and got another random one that I had from another easel kit here for the bottom. I'm going to do a really easy frame. I'm just going to measure from top to bottom here on the little chalkboard and cut down the side pieces and attach those first. I'm not going to do any miter corners, just a very rustic little sign. I just went to my saw and cut those down. Then I can just hot glue these on to DIY my own little custom frame. This is going to bump this part of the sign out since the other is bumped out a little bit. And in the end, this DIY turned out so cute. It gives me like a lot of color here for the background, and I think it looks really cute. Now, if you're not lucky enough to find the red and white gingham fabric at Dollar Tree, because it's a little hit or miss, I will try to include a free printable for that as well. And you could just print it out and add that to the backdrop and get the same look just without the texture. And so I cut down the top and bottom pieces to fit just in between the other wood pieces and hot glued those on there as well. And this is how it turned out, our little hot cocoa for sale sign for our Valentine's Day bake sale. I think it has a lot of character and it looks really cute down here on the bottom shelf of my Valentine's Day coffee bar. I had to get this decorated because I had gingerbread for Christmas before, and so it's been kind of empty. And now it looks really fun. For the next DIY, I wanted like a little bit of height, so I thought a vase would be good for that. I'm going to use one of these pink frosted glass vases I found at Dollar Tree this year. And my idea was to fill it in with baby's breath and maybe a few hearts. So I have some baby's breath from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to cut this down a little bit just because it's too tall and add this to the vase. Since Dollar Tree has increased their prices on greenery, I try to not buy it unless I know I'm going to need it, and I always need some baby's breath. I really love it. So we're going to try to fill this up with just baby's breath and then add some hearts. At first, I was going to use those little pink glitter hearts that you see there, but I ended up switching those out for something else you'll see here in just a minute. I was trying to decide, though, if I wanted to leave those green leaves on them. I thought that it looked a little bit better without it, so I think I'm just going to remove the green leaves. Sometimes it's like the flowers from the Dollar Tree, the greenery makes it look a little bit cheaper. And I thought that that did with that bright green color. I don't want to take away too much from my pinks and my reds in my coffee bar. So I just went ahead and cut all of the baby's breath pieces separately and removed the greenery. And I liked the way that that looked better. That was more of the spring look that I was going for. Something very subtle, the baby's breath, so it won't take away from that beautiful glass vase or the hearts that we're going to add to it. I went ahead and used all that I had here. And again, removing all of the green leaves. I switched up the hearts to the little heart picks. These are the little red heart picks from the Dollar Tree. I wanted something a little bit smaller and more subtle, and I think the hearts are really cute. And they have these long picks on them, so these are really easy to add to this, and it gave me the perfect amount of height that I needed to go next to all of those cookies that we just DIY'd on my coffee bar. And I think that vase is so cute. I just left it as is. I thought the pink glass was really pretty. The next item I found was from the Target Dollar Spot, our little red Valentine cake coffee mug, which is perfect for the coffee bar or, the hot cocoa theme. This is the same style as the Valentine's Day cake holder that I used, and I thought we would use this to actually be functional. It can hold coffee stirrers for the bottom shelf of my coffee bar. But I thought it'd be fun to decorate a few of the coffee stirrers. I'm not going to do all of them, but I used some of the little wood hearts from the Dollar Tree, and I painted them salmon and in red, continuing that red and salmon color scheme. I love that. It's just a nicer color of looking pink rather than the bubblegum pink, but either one would probably be cute. These coffee stirrers, I'm going to pick some out here, and then we're just going to decorate these simply by hot gluing the hearts to the end of the coffee stirrers. So it's going to be decorative and functional, and you can still use them too, because you can just hold the end with a heart and stir your coffee or hot cocoa or whatever you're making at the coffee bar below. So this was just such a fun, quick, easy DIY, and it's functional, so you gotta love that. You could also drink out of that little mug as well. It's super cute for Valentine's Day. But I have a collection of Valentine's Day mugs that I'm going to hang with this coffee bar that you'll get to see here in just a minute. Just kind of scattering those out, different colors, and moving those around until it kind of looks good. It'll all be messed up immediately, but just wanted to make my eyes happy. And this is how it turned out. Our little Target Dollar Spot Valentine's Day mug filled with little coffee stirrers. Super cute. I love that line from Target Dollar Spot. From the next item, I found this Dollar Tree jar that kind of sits on its side like this from the Dollar Tree. It is a glass jar, and I thought we could fill it up with some of these heart marshmallows that I found from Dollar General. These taste so good. They're so great, and I thought they'd be perfect for hot cocoa. So I designed this little printable for the lid, and I made it the perfect size to fit on this size jar. I will share a link to this free printable in the description of today's video. It says heart marshmallows for hot cocoa on there. I'm going to cut that down and attach this to the lid. Now, you might want to put your lid on the jar first to make sure that you get this going the right direction when you screw this on there tightly. I kind of forgot. I just Mod Podged mine on there, but then I remembered and tested it, and I did get lucky, so definitely put it on the jar first so you'll know which way needs to go up for this. I definitely got lucky on this. That was when I realized, hey, this is kind of threaded. I probably should have tested it first. But I tested it. It works. Now, I did have a little bit of paper hanging off the edges. I cleaned that up with just a sanding sponge going all the way around the lid. And this coordinates really well with that hot cocoa sign, the like watercolor print. I think it turned out really cute. So now this is really easy. All I have to do is fill it up with these heart marshmallows, and we'll be set for hot cocoa for Valentine's Day. I don't know if I've told you, but I have my son back at home. He's in his final semester of college, and he got accepted into the semester by the Sea program at Harbor Branch, which is a prestigious marine biology place, and it's right down the road from where we live. So I have my son back at home, and I love it. It's making me so happy. He gets to see all these fun DIYs. And the empty nest was hard. Now let's make some faux cupcakes. I'm going to use the little cupcake ornaments from Dollar Tree, and we're going to make these look so much better. They're a little too blinged out for the style of this. I want it to look like real cupcakes. And so I'm going to just use these and customize my own. I was trying to decide if I should do 3 or 4. I ended up only doing 3. And I'm going to DIY some frosting using some spackling and some of the salmon acrylic paint to dye that. And I'm going to make little individual packages of cupcakes. I got some plastic cupcake holders from Michael's that are like little single-use things that you would see at a bake sale. So you could do that, or you could also wrap yours in plastic bags as well if you can't find these, but they're pretty inexpensive. I thought they would really add a fun touch. And we are going to need a little piping bag here and a cake decorating tip. So just cutting off the tip of that, adding a little cake decorating tip here that I'll have to donate to my crafting supply, and add the spackling in here. I'm going to go ahead and try to add all of it. And I think that's going to be enough frosting to do 3 of our cupcakes. I want them to look like big buttercream frosted cupcakes with a little bit of decor on them, but not super blinged out like they were before. There's a lot of bling going on those cupcakes. But I just left them as is. We're just going to decorate on top of all of that stuff. You could try removing it and using some of that, but I don't think I'm going to need to. These are the little containers that I was talking about from Michael's. I'll try to link these into today's video as well. And then I just got some little baking cup cupcake liners from Dollar General, and I'm just going to use the pink one. I couldn't find any Valentine's Day themed ones at Dollar Tree or anything like that. My Dollar Tree, like their Valentine's Day stuff is very slim pickings, so I had to get creative with today's video. I'm going to attach that to the liner and then hot glue the liner into place so it stays put. And that's going to make it a little bit easier to pipe the frosting on and decorate our little cupcake. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just want it to look big and lots of frosting. Something really cute, and I love the color of the frosting. I think it looks really pretty. So let's go ahead and do another one. I found it best to like kind of hot glue the liner on and then hot glue the liner to the container because it does fit in there, but I don't want it to pop out. I want it to kind of stay put. And then we're going to frost this as well. I'm going to do all of them the same color, and then I can kind of scatter these little cupcakes all over the coffee bar for a fun filler that goes with the bake sale theme. Super cute. My frosting job on these was definitely not perfect. I'm definitely not a professional. And I think we can do one more here. Again, I attached the liner, glue it down into these little cupcake trays. Aren't these cupcake trays so cute? I thought that was such a fun idea for the bake sale theme. Because if you were just going to buy one cupcake, you would definitely need something to hold it in like this that wouldn't mess up the frosting or anything like that. I barely had enough frosting left with my spackle frosting, but I think we can make it work. And then I thought we could decorate it with like a little bit of candy sprinkles, but not much. I'm going to do the little pink glass beads from the crafter square at Dollar Tree. I thought the little glass beads would be some really cute, like little, it looks like pink sugar, right, all over my little cookie. So I just kind of scattered those into that wet frosting before it has a chance to set up. And then there's also some longer glass tube pieces that I think look a little bit like little confetti pieces, little funfetti. And I added that to the frosting as well and closed our first little cupcake case. I'm going to decorate them all the same. I probably could have added more, but I was trying to get away from that bling look like they looked before. I just think it looked a little bit cheap with all of the decor they had on those before. And again, we were only doing 3. I think that's going to be plenty. I'm glad I only did 3 because I wouldn't have had enough room to do one more. And I just used those 2 different kinds of glass beads. You could really use any of them in that package. It works really well for candy sprinkles. Then I thought we could tie them up. They look super cute though. Look at the frosting and the decor on these. They look really realistic, a lot better than they did before. I'm going to use the red and white baker's twine for this, and not really necessary, but I thought it would give me a little pop of color and add to that fun theme with all of the red and white gingham and red and white baker's twine. So I just went around once and tied that into a simple bow on top. And I'm going to do that with all of them. Just because, like at a bake sale, a lot of times you'll buy baked items that are like decorated too, which is a part of the fun, right? My coffee bar definitely looks good enough to eat. My son said it definitely made him hungry when he saw all of these faux treats because they do all look really realistic. I'm going to scatter these around my coffee bar. I did 2 here on each one of the jars that we made our little DIY cookies. There was room on top of them. So I just added some cupcakes, and then I also added a cupcake in front of the little chalkboard on the top of the coffee bar, and something that's listed on there, so that makes sense. Now I wanted to make some larger sugar cookies as well, and I have the large heart-shaped cookie cutter that I think I got at Target. It was like a Christmas cookie cutter that I got on clearance. Again, I'm going to be using the air dry clay, and these are going to be very similar to the sugar cookies we made before, just a lot larger. I thought we could wrap these, and these can be like a filler that we can use on the coffee bar. A lot of these DIYs would transition really well into a tier tray too. And I do still have a Valentine's Day tier tray planned for this year. Hopefully I can get that out to you soon. I plan to include it in today's video, but I had so many DIYs for this coffee bar that I kind of ran out of room and time. So again, I just take the air dry clay, roll it out, cut it, and texturize it with that dry brush. I'm only going to do 3, and I took it to my air fryer at 170 degrees for 15 minutes, and then that dried them out so I can frost them. I'm going to take some spackling, some salmon, acrylic paint, and DIY some pink frosting for these. I chose pink frosting for all of them rather than red just because I would have to add a lot of paint, I think, to get a bright red color, but you can kind of do whatever you want. And again, just using a frosting tool, we are going to frost these. Now, since these are large sugar cookies, we're also going to be able to decorate these. The smaller ones I did before, I just did frosting and packaged them individually. But since these are larger and they're going to be kind of individual pieces that I can scatter around my coffee bar, I can decorate these as well. So I want a nice thick coat of frosting on there, something that's really going to hold all of the little candy that we're going to add to it too. And I think these turned out super cute. So have a nice thick coating of frosting. And then I tried to smooth that out a little bit by using a little sponge paint dauber on those to make them look not quite so bumpy. The heat gun really didn't want to work for that to kind of melt them down at all with the spackle, but I think that worked. I can save that little sponge and use it to gloss these with the Gloss Finish Mod Podge again to make the frosting look wet, and it makes it look a little bit more realistic. And this will also help glue on some of the candy that we're going to add to it. I just went over all of them with the gloss Mod Podge. I'm going to use the pink glass beads from the Dollar Tree for little candy sprinkles. I really like the bubblegum pink little candy sprinkles for a little bit of contrast. I also used a little bit of spray glue to make sure that these are going to stay put. And then I thought we could do some of the little long glass tubes as well to give it more of a little decorated. I love little candy sprinkles and stuff like that for my sugar cookies. I wanted to make them look like that. I sprayed a little bit more of that spray glue on there to make sure they stayed put. Now, since these are large cookies, I had to use like plastic sandwich bags for these. They wouldn't fit in the little Dollar Tree ones, but I can do the same thing. I just cut off the Ziploc on the top and kind of folded it around the back. There is a different size plastic bag from the party section at Dollar Tree, the little tree bags that would work well for this, but I didn't have any, so I made do with a few little sandwich bags. Again, I just tied them all with a little bit of red and white baker's twine to make them look really cute. And we have another individually packaged item for our little coffee bar for the bake sale. This was such a fun theme. What do you guys think about this theme for Valentine's Day? I thought it was definitely a different take on the Valentine's Day bakery theme, which I've done a lot, and I know others have too, so I wanted to do something a little bit more creative. And all of these faux sweets definitely look good enough to eat. So I did a total of 3 of the giant sugar cookies. I will show you how I'm going to display these on my coffee bar. I displayed one in front of that Valentine bake sale on the easel that we did on the top. And it looks so cute just standing on its side. I just leaned it up against it. And then I piled 2 in front of the hot cocoa sign. I had a little bit of room there on my coffee bar, and they're short enough that they're not going to cover the sign. And so I thought they were perfect for there. The next DIY, I'm going to make a little pennant garland here to go along the bottom of my coffee bar. And I designed these little tags. I wanted them to look like price tags, like something you would see at a bake sale. And I also wanted them to look like craft paper. So I designed these. I will include a link to the free printable for these as well. And I did 5. I always like to do an odd number, like 3 or 5 when I'm doing like a garland or something like this. And then I'm going to use some of the little mini clothespins from the Dollar Tree to actually put these on the twine. I designed them like Valentine bake sale, homemade with lots of love, different messages that I would think that you would find on little tags at a Valentine's Day bake sale. And then again, I'm going to use the red and white baker's twine to hang them all. And I just simply attached them all with a little clothespin. This was so easy. You don't have to measure anything because you can kind of move them from side to side evenly to smooth these out. And I'm only going to do 1 garland for this coffee bar. We've got a lot going on, but I thought this would be cute here at the bottom and kind of finish off the bake sale theme. So super easy. I just used a dot of hot glue on each side of my shelf, my coffee bar, and displayed these with my Ray Dunn Valentine's Day mug collection, which I love. So I thought that would go really well with the Valentine's Day theme as well. Let me show you how this theme, the bake sale theme for Valentine's Day, turned out on my coffee bar. I think it's so fun. This is the top shelf, and then this is how the bottom shelf turned out. I DIY'd this coffee bar myself. I didn't have a lot of room. I have a tiny wall next to my kitchen, also has a light switch on it, but I was able to, use some removable wallpaper there on the sign, add some floating shelves from Target, and it's always so much fun to decorate. And I DIY'd a little Goodwill table for the bottom of the coffee bar. But this is how I decorated my coffee bar this year in 2026. I really hope you enjoyed all of these DIYs. Next up, we are going to have Valentine's Day gift DIYs that I've made this year on my channel. I hope you enjoy. This DIY is going to take 4 of the 8x8 canvases from the Dollar Tree and 4 of the 8x10 acrylic boards. What I want to do is try to create a claw machine. I want it to be filled with treats and gifts inside. So what I really needed were 8-inch boxes and I couldn't find anything. So I'm going to try to DIY my own with the 8x8 canvases from the Dollar Tree. These are like the canvas boards. They also have 8x8 wood signs, but I thought the canvases were going to be plenty. One will be the top and one will be the bottom of the box. So for the first thing we're going to create, we're going to use some Dollar Tree foam board for the sides. And we basically just want the box. It's going to be the bottom of the claw machine where it's going to have like the little door, that you could like get your prize if you catch it with a claw, that kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is use the little 8x8 canvas here to get the right width. And I want to cut down a panel. I'm just kind of estimating the size of this. I'm going to need 2 that are 8 inches wide. So they will go end to end on the canvas. And then the other 2 sides I will have to cut a little bit shorter to go in between so that everything fits on the canvas to create a box. So I just used my razor blade and cut these out. Just want like 2 rectangular size pieces. And you can see me bundled up. I craft in my garage, and for some reason it is freezing in Florida. We actually had frost and literal ice on my windshield this morning. I could not believe it. Everybody's roof had frost on it. I've never seen this. It was cold. And so I am going to see if that's going to fit. I think it will. One on each side will be the 8-inch. So for the next 2 panels of the box, I'm going to cut them a little bit shorter. I just kind of estimated. I can always cut them down a little bit more if needed. I do want them to be the same height though. These are going to be the sides and they're going to fit in between the ones that we already cut out. So I'm going to need 2 more of those. And I probably should have used my hot knife for this. It does glide through the foam board a little bit better than my razor blade. But I'm going to clean these up a little bit because they are a little bit jagged the way that I cut them out. To do that, I just used a sanding block and sanded them until they were smooth. Now, on this first batch, I didn't remove the paper from them, but you probably should. I find that gluing to the foam inside is actually better than gluing to the paper because the paper can peel off a little bit. But this is what we're going to cover the boxes with. I found these gift bags at Dollar Tree. They have a red embossed heart on them. It's only on one side of the gift bag, and I really like it. So that's what I'm going to use for the entire claw machine. And I'll just save the backs of them for another Valentine's Day project. I just wanted this beautiful panel, and I did have to buy 4 of these to make this machine. So you don't have to use gift bags. You can use whatever you can find. Tissue paper from the Dollar Tree has hearts on it too. Just something that's going to make it look fun for Valentine's Day. But I loved the embossed heart. So what I'm going to do is cut a piece of it that I can go over the piece with. I just used an ink pen there on the back to sketch it out and cut this first piece down to size. I want to cut one of these for each one of the pieces. These are the shorter pieces. And so I'm going to cut these down and then I'm going to cut the other ones a little bit wider so that I can cover the edges because you might be able to see those when I create the box. So here is another one of the gift bags. I was cutting these things up. I'm glad I bought 4 of them because I had no idea how much I was going to need for the claw machine. It worked out perfectly. So I just cut everything off, just leaving me a panel, and then we're gonna sketch these out. Now these are a little bit wider, and so I want these to be wider so that I can kind of wrap it around the edges. So I cut them a little bit longer, but the same height. And I'm just going to cut one of those out for each one of those pieces. This is going to be the very bottom of the claw machine. I do a door on here, but I just do a picture of a door. If you wanted to actually make a door, you really could with the foam board, but I didn't really think it was necessary because my claw machine turned out pretty big, so lots of room for candy. I'm just going to attach it to the foam board with Mod Podge, and I didn't have any trouble with it, but when I do this in the future on this DIY, I did start peeling the paper off and just gluing straight to the foam. I just find that it works better and you don't have to worry about any peeling because this paper does come loose sometimes when you're crafting with it like this. So I just put the Mod Podge down, laid down the pieces of the gift bag, and this is the ones that have like the longer sides that I want to wrap around the edges. I'm glad I thought to do that because you would have been able to see the white edges on the foam board in the final project if I hadn't done that. I just started by Mod Podging them on. And then it's going to be a little bit harder to get them to wrap around the edges. And so instead of using Mod Podge for the edges, I'm going to switch to hot glue. I think that will be better. And I do want to make sure that I don't get any Mod Podge residue there on the front of it. I just did a little bead of hot glue here and wrap that around the corner. And it's just going to make everything more finished. So the top of the box is going to be one of those 8x8 canvases. The bottom is going to be one of those 8x8 canvases, and then these are the 4 side panels to create the box. Now, if you can find an 8-inch box, you're going to be way ahead of the game. You won't have to DIY it because this was a time-consuming part of this DIY, but I absolutely love how this turned out. I'm just going to take a bead of hot glue there on the edge of the canvas, and this is one of the longer boards, so I'm going from end to end. It is the perfect width, 8 inches. And I glue that on at 90-degree angle. And then this is going to be the other side. This is where I'm going to do the little door. I designed this printable. It says push for prizes. And I will include a link to all of the printables down in the description of today's video. This is going to be the little door there at the bottom of the claw machine. And I thought about making it functional, but I decided that I can just add that to it. It will be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the other side with hot glue here. So we have half of our box created. And then I want to attach this to this part over on the side. Because on the right side of the claw machine, I'm going to do like where you put the money in, the joystick, that kind of thing. So I just put some Mod Podge there on the back. I printed mine out on cardstock just because I find it a little bit easier to work with. And then I just sealed it with some more Mod Podge, making sure to clean up any that got on the gift bag. I don't want there to be any residue left behind, but just a cute little door. It looks like there's tons of candy coming out of the bottom, which we're going to be adding a lot of candy to today's little claw machine. I love the idea of a claw machine. It's so fun. And then this is a side panel. See how I cut it shorter so it would fit in between? And it does. So I did a bead of hot glue and I attached it to the bottom first. But really you could attach it to all 3 sides at the same time if you wanted to. I went ahead and I had enough room to be able to glue it to the sides, and it's necessary to create a corner there of our box. And then I also added like a little bit more hot glue on the inside if needed. This is the other side of the box. This one I went ahead and put glue on all 3 sides and just kind of slid that into place, forming the corners. Now it's pretty stable. Some of the corners though weren't super square, so I'm going to square them out with some of the little mini Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree. This is also going to give me something extra to glue the top of the box on, and it's just going to make it sturdier. So I'm going to leave like this entire box empty. But again, if you wanted to make your door functional, you could, and you could store more candy down here if you wanted to. Now I realized the matte finish of Mod Podge was probably not a good idea for the door. I needed to be a little shinier to go with that foil paper, so I did go over that with some gloss Mod Podge. Now it's time to attach the top of the box. I did hot glue here on all of the Jenga blocks and also on the edges of the foam board, and I'm going to lay that right on side. I kind of did mine canvas side up. It doesn't really matter. And we have the bottom of the claw machine. It's coming along. And now we need to work on the top part. It's also going to be a box for the top part. So I'm going to use the 8x8 canvas boards again. And we're going to use that remaining foam board to cut out the side panels of this. So basically I'm going to construct it exactly the same way. I'm going to go 2 that are completely 8 inches wide and 2 that are a little bit shorter. But this time I'm doing it thinner. So as you can see, it's not as tall as the other box is going to be. And I really don't need it to be that tall for the top of the machine. I just need somewhere that I can put a sign, finish off the top of the claw machine, it's also going to be a lid for the project so that you can take it on and off. And it's going to have to hold the claw and the light and everything like that. So I cut 2 of the longer pieces. I want the other 2 pieces to be the same height, but a little bit skinnier. So I went ahead and used that for reference to cut down the next one. And then I want 2 of those. Those are going to be the side of the box. This is when I remembered that I really like peeling the paper off of these. It does make it a lot easier, especially when you're cleaning it up. And so what I did was I just peeled the paper off of all of my foam board pieces. And I would suggest you do that. It makes everything easier, gluing to it, sanding it, everything like that. And then again, I just sanded the panels and made them look a little bit better because I think my knife blade was a little bit dull on this. Now that I have all of the side panels, we can start putting the top box together for the claw machine. Again, we're using those same red foil Valentine's Day gift bags. So pretty. I absolutely love those. I think the foil gift bags, the Dollar Tree, are always my favorite. I love crafting with them. So again, I'm just going to cover each piece with this. The longer pieces will be a little bit wider to go over the edges, just like they were before. And so again, I'm just going to cut these all down to size. Too skinny for the skinnier ones and too wide for the wider ones. Is how you can remember that. I was able to get 3 out of that gift bag because they are skinnier. But again, I did need the 4th one. And I'm saving the side panels. I'm going to need at least one of those for the side panel of the claw machine. So we have all of our pieces cut out. This time I'm gluing directly to the foam since I peeled off the paper. And I just used Mod Podge and attached that to it. I'm going to do the same thing here for the other 3 pieces of the size of the box. And then just like before, I'm going to use some hot glue to attach the sides here of the ones that I made a little bit wider so they will cover the edges. Again, when you're making a project like this, try not to forget those little details like that because that would look awful if you could see the white edges when I put the box together. So we have all the pieces. This is going to be the top. We are going to do a sign on this part too. Again, we have the wider piece that can go end to end. I just hot glue that on all the way over to the edge. Now for this one, I did canvas side up. I probably should have done canvas side down because you are going to be able to see that inside the machine. And the paper does have a little bit of writing on it, but it's still white, so it worked. But if you were going to recreate, I would do canvas down. And then I'm going to glue the 2 side panel pieces in by gluing to the bottom and each side. And we're going to do that on this side as well. Just like before, I'm going to create it the same way where I want it to be nice and strong. So I reinforce the corners with some hot glue and some of the mini Jenga blocks here. That also gives me an additional eye area to glue the top on, so that's very helpful. Once I got those all 4 in place, I just put hot glue on all 4 and then hot glue on the edges, and we're going to attach to the top. I'm just going to leave the top of the claw machine white. It's going to look good with all of the red we've got going on, and it's so pretty already, it doesn't really need any extra details on the top. So that is the top part. For that, I designed this printable. This one says, "You won my heart." A fun printable to go on the claw machine as well. I printed this out on cardstock and I will include a link to the printable in the description of today's video. I'm going to use some gloss Mod Podge to attach this. I'm going to center this at the top because there's no need to have that off-centered for this piece. And then I'm going to attach that Mod Podge on top with more of the gloss to make it a little bit shiny to go with the gift bag, and then also kind of clean up any residue from that. I don't want to take away from those beautiful foil hearts. Now it's time for the acrylic to create the claw machine. I went ahead and peeled the front and the back protection off of these. The only thing you have to do is be very careful you don't get hot glue strings on these because it's kind of hard to get off. So you might want to leave that on there until you get it glued into place. So keep that in mind, the protective lining. I glued mine on one side, reinforced it there on the back, and then I'm going to peel and glue this one. I went ahead and peeled all of my protection off of mine. I got pretty lucky about not getting hot glue on mine. And I did the opposite side, gluing edge to edge, and then reinforce it a little bit here in the middle. And now for the side pieces, I can't make these skinnier very easily. So what I'm going to do is glue it to the actual acrylic on the edges. So again, I peeled off the protective layer and I added a bead of hot glue. I tried to get as thin as I could, going all the way up here on both sides. And then I'm just going to glue the glass on here, trying to make sure that the top lines up. I will have a little bit of a corner, and you can see the hot glue there where the acrylic comes together. I reinforce it on the inside as well. And I'll just decorate the corner so it's not super obvious where you have the hot glue seams in the corner. Now, this is the fourth and final piece of acrylic. I do the same thing over here. I do a bead of hot glue on the edge of each side piece. And this project is getting so large, it's taking up my entire craft station. So it's a little bit hard to show you, but I reinforced the corners there in the little bit of a gap there with hot glue on each side to make it strong. And then this is one of the remaining pieces of gift bags that I have left. I want this to be the side panel for my claw machine. So I'm just going to use my paper cutter and cut this down into a nice sheet by cutting off the areas of the gift bag that are not needed. Like I had a little bit of the bottom. I have a little bit of the top of it on there as well. And I'm just going to cut those down. It is like the perfect size for the 12-inch acrylic. And so it should go from top to bottom. Just trying to clean that up a little bit. Now, the next time we're going to add is a little slot to put like your dollar bill in to play the little claw machine. So I designed another printable here. I printed this one out on cardstock, and I'm going to attach it about halfway up the side panel here. And I'm just going to do that with some more of the gloss Mod Podge. I want enough room underneath of it to be able to add like the little joystick to control the claw. And we're going to attach this to the right side of the claw machine. And I just did that with some Mod Podge here on the back. I got maybe too much on there, and just lay this right here on that. I did have to kind of smooth it out a little bit to make sure that it sticks and doesn't want to peel away from the acrylic. Now, to decorate the corners and to cover the hot glue, I'm going to use some of the red heart ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I think this is so pretty, and it fit perfectly on here. I'm going to do like the pointed tips of the hearts pointing towards the center of the project. I just hot glued each end. You don't need to hot glue the whole thing. And then maybe one in the middle. And I'm going to kind of border everything out. I'm going to do all the sides except for the very back with this. And this is just going to kind of reinforce this edge too, add that little fun heart detail. And I tried to add as many heart details to this as I could for Valentine's Day. Even the chain and the claw are going to be heart themed in this one. So I flip it over here on the side. I also do the hearts like pointed sides towards the end, and I'm going to decorate both sides. This covered up all that hot glue and gave it a little bit of separation for the corners. So I think that was a fun detail. You really could use any kind of like Valentine's Day ribbon or even like a washi tape or something like that to kind of mask that area. But I thought the hearts were perfect. They're a little bit shiny too. So I did the same thing here on the other side. I had just enough of that ribbon. And that's going to finish off all of the corners of our machine. Now what we have to do is create the little joystick. I thought we could use one of these little wood heart picks from the Dollar Tree for the little heart, and some of the little mini Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree for like the panel. Now, at first, I was going to actually use the wood stem on the heart, but I do end up switching that up here in just a minute, you'll see. I glued both of the little Jenga blocks together, and then I painted them like a salmon pink color all over the sides, top and bottom. Now, I kind of added to this because that panel ended up not being quite thick enough to stick out from the machine. And then I added a nail here to the top. I thought that would be a little bit more stable. And then you could have like a little metal handle for your joystick. And so I actually just am going to use the heart off of that little pick. And I hot glued this in place. You might want to use a little bit stronger glue for that. And then I added two more of the Jenga blocks to the back. That way it's going to stick out from the machine a little bit more and make the joystick a little bit more obvious. I glued that all together, creating one block out of four, and again, painting them with that salmon pink color. So now we can go ahead and install this here on the front. It's going to be like the little handle that you control the claw with. I just attached mine with hot glue right here under where you put the money in. And we almost have our claw machine constructed. Now we need to work on the very top of it. So this is the top box that we DIY'd. We're going to use one of the Dollar Tree push lights. This is going to hold the claw. It's also going to light up the claw machine. So I thought that would be perfect. I'm just going to add some AAA batteries to this. And it does have like a little double-sided tape on here to stick it onto the top. I didn't know if that would be strong enough though, so I did reinforce mine with a little bit of hot glue. And I wanted to go over to the left side because remember we have that right panel on the claw machine. For the chain, we're going to use one of these little heart chains from the Dollar Tree. And I thought that would be a fun touch. It's got this little plastic piece on the end, so I thought I would take advantage of that. I can just glue that onto the center of the push light. It won't get in the way where I'll still be able to turn it on and off easily, the light inside, but it's going to be coming down straight from the center. Now to create the claw, I'm going to do it with one of the little heart slinkies from the Dollar Tree. These are like a little Valentine's Day favor. I'm going to use the pink ones at the end. And I'm going to cut off two of the hearts, cutting them at the very bottom. I thought if I put these together, it would look like a claw, a heart-shaped claw, if I crisscross them like that. And that actually worked out pretty well. Now, I did have to kind of see how long I want my chain to be. Not very long because I want to be able to have lots of room for, candy and prizes inside the claw machine. And I just attached the little heart claw with some hot glue. This step did take a little bit of patience because I really had to let the hot glue set up to make this strong enough. And then I'm going to add some more hot glue and add the other heart going the other direction. And again, I just had to let that dry to form the claw shape, which is also heart shaped, which I think is really fun. So this DIY is complete. I'm trying to show you what it looks like, but it's kind of hard because it's taken up my entire workstation. But that's a little preview. But let's fill it up with candy and treats for Valentine's Day. I found these little plastic containers from Dollar Tree that look like red candy. I thought that would be fun and festive. I can put candy inside of them. I thought we could do like maybe Reese's peanut butter cups inside of them because these weren't Valentine's Day themed, and so they're not really Valentine's Day colors. So that kind of dresses them up a little bit. And I chose candy that the recipient would like, Tootsie Rolls and little heart-shaped Krabby Patties. Now the Krabby Patties were $4 at Dollar Tree, but you got a lot in there, so I thought it was worth it. I'm going to dump those into the claw machine. I'm also going to dump in all of the Tootsie Rolls that I got at the Dollar Tree. We can add the little Reese's Peanut Butter Cups and these fun little red candy holders. And I might as well add the remaining of those as well. And then I have some chocolate hearts from the Dollar Tree. These are like the little Palmer's hearts, and add those around. I wanted a lot of variety and some of the pink Hershey Kisses. Actually, I think these are the hugs. And we're going to add those in there as well. For little toys, I thought we could add some of those little heart-shaped slinkies from the Dollar Tree. Those would be fun prizes, so I chose like the pink and orange ones to kind of go with the theme. And then I thought this would be really fun. I found this at the Dollar Tree. It's like a little mini Stanley. Super fun. It's pink. I added that in there for a prize. Some of the heart-shaped pencil sharpeners from the Dollar Tree. And check out these erasers that I found at Dollar Tree. They look like sweet treats, so I thought these would be really fun. I really liked the little gummy bear. He's so cute. So I thought those would be fun prizes. You can add whatever you can find to yours. You can even do some little stuffed animals in here. That would be really cute for the claw machine. Now let's turn the light on and test this out. I'm just going to actually sit the top of it on there. But if you're traveling with yours, you could always attach with like a little bit of Scotch tape to make sure it stays on. But I want the top to be able to be removed so that the recipient can grab all of the treats inside of it. And I think this turned out so cute. What do you guys think about my Valentine's Day claw machine gift DIY? I made this for my son. I think he's going to absolutely love it. For this Valentine's Day gift, we're going to take 4 of these red party bowls from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make these look like giant cherries. I got this idea, I saw it in a magazine article, but I think I traced it down to the original creator, which is the Craft Patch. So shout out to them. I will definitely link that, what I was able to find, in the description of today's video, because I loved the way they looked. Giant cherries. I just used some of the pink paper shreds from the Dollar Tree for the bottom of our baskets. And we're going to fill this up with treats and gifts for a little girl. So I found cotton candy. So I went ahead and cut those apart into individual bags. I was also able to find Dollar Tree little ring pops. So let's add some of those too. I have 2 cherries to make, so I have lots of room for goodies. I added some bubble gum, some Hershey Kisses. I'm trying to keep them kind of even. And I have some Valentine's Day necklaces. And we're going to do some toys as well. I found this like My Little Pony I thought was so cute from the Dollar Tree. It comes with like a little brush. We're going to add that to it as well. Now you could give the cherry to one person, or you could give it to 2 and have each one of them get one part of the cherry. So you could do it either way. I also added some of the little heart slinkies from the Dollar Tree. Some of their like little party favors. I found these little unicorn rubber duckies in the party aisle. I thought those were really cute. I'm going to take them out of the bag because I think they're so cute. They shouldn't be in that bag. And then I added some lip gloss that I found that looks like candy. I found some Valentine's Day little notepads. Something fun to add, I found some Sweethearts lip gloss. I'm going to add that to the gift basket as well. I found this adorable little purple puppy dog that says cute on it. And then I think it's pretty full. I think I have room for a few more things. I'm going to add a few more of the ring pops. Let's go ahead and do like another one of the notebooks, so each one has one. And trying to get it as full as possible before we make these into giant cherries. I think one more cotton candy and maybe another necklace. I think that's going to work. I want them to look really full when I make them look like cherries. To do that, I just take the other bowl and put it right on top. You're going to want to line up your outer sides, the pattern on there, and then just use a little bit of tape here on both sides. You could use Scotch tape. I used a little bit of packing tape, and just something that will keep it all together, but it's easy enough to remove. And I'm going to do the same thing here with our second cherry. Now I wanted to find some items from the Dollar Tree that I could use to make stems for these, and I was able to find some pipe cleaners that have green. So they weren't as strong as I would like. You might want to use wire, but I could not find any of my floral tape. I was going to use that with some wire. So we are definitely going to use these instead. And these are fun. They're fuzzy. I tried 2 at first to see if that was strong enough and twisted them together to make one of the cherry stems. If you're creating yours, I would suggest doing 3 because I did have to go back and add another one to make them strong enough to hold up the little cherry leaf. But I started with 2, and I'm going to do the same thing here for the other side. They're fairly long, so I think they're going to be long enough for this size cherry. So that is our second one. I'm going to have them together at the top, like they're a little group of cherries with a leaf on there as well. I think that's going to work. I wanted to melt like a little hole here in the top, but I didn't want to get out my hot knife, so I tried to do it with my hot glue gun. It doesn't ever work on my hot glue gun, but I was able to burn a little bit and add some hot glue to be able to put the pipe cleaner down inside there just a little bit. And I did the same thing here with the other side, just melting a little bit hole, almost like a bowl shape in it, not necessarily all the way through. Adding some hot glue to that, and I added the pipe cleaners to this side as well too. So now we have 2 cherry stems. I want them to go together. So I kind of have one side be a little bit shorter and twisted those together. Now for the leaf, I'm going to use just some felt, some green felt that I had that was pretty similar to the pipe cleaner color. And I just sketched out a very simple leaf here for the cherry. And I just drew that with a Sharpie, and I'm just going to cut that out. I didn't really need a pattern or anything on this. It was such an easy shape to cut out. I don't think it's very symmetrical though, so I am going to fold it and trim it up to make it a little bit more symmetrical. And I'm going to attach this to the cherry stem with another pipe cleaner. So I'm going to hot glue that down the middle, like the vein in the leaf, and glue that on there. And then while my hot glue is still kind of wet, I'm going to fold it a little bit to give it, a little bit of shape there in the middle. But I'm not going to add any more details than that. And then I'm going to attach this to the top of our cherries. So I just wound the pipe cleaners around. It's not very heavy, but it did make it want not to stand up by itself like it was before. So I took the rest of that pipe cleaner and went about halfway down, the one here on the right side. And that's when I realized I'm definitely going to need 3 pipe cleaners instead of 2. So I just wound this all the way down, removing the excess here when I got to the bottom. And then I'm going to go in on the other side with another pipe cleaner to make this side stronger too, because I definitely want the cherry stems to stand up in the air on their own. So that part was a little bit tricky using the pipe cleaners, but we made it work. And then I designed this printable. It says, "You're the cherry on the top of my Valentine." I thought this would be a fun little tag to add to this. And I printed mine out on cardstock, and I'm just going to cut that out. I will include a link to the printable in today's video for you, and so you can recreate the giant cherries. These were so fun. I love the way they look. Cherries or strawberries, for Valentine's Day are always fun. So I just cut it out, poked a little hole here in the tag, and I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree twine to tie this off to the stem. On one side, I think I'll do it to the one on the left side. And as you can see, they're not super strong, but they're strong enough to stand up now, the little cherry stems and leaf. And that's all there is to it. We have some giant cherries, really fun gift basket DIY idea for Valentine's Day. And this is how mine turned out. Giant cherries gift basket using those red bowls from the Dollar Tree. Really fun. I love crafting with those. They're very versatile, but I think they do look like some giant cherries. What do you guys think about this fun DIY? I'm just going to use an Amazon box. I did measure it just for your reference. It was 16 by 10 by 6 inches, but you can kind of modify yours to whatever you have, but this was a pretty nice size for this. And the only thing I don't like about it is the bright blue packing tape on here. I'm trying to get rid of that a little bit. And we are going to turn this into a vending machine, a Valentine's Day vending machine. It started out just as a simple box, but I swear we're going to get there. So I reclosed the box there with some packing tape, and I didn't have any like paper tape. That would have been ideal. Instead, I'm going to use some of the craft paper from the Dollar Tree to cover up the tape that I just added on there. Basically, I just want a brown box. If you have a plain box, then that would be ideal. In hindsight, maybe I could have turned it inside out, but I would have had to rebuild the box a little bit. But if you have a plain box, that's even better. So I just used Mod Podge and some of the craft paper from Dollar Tree to cover up the bright blue tape. And I want to be able to decoupage this entire thing. And so I want to cover up any writing or anything that is going to come through my decoupage. And so I used that craft paper, and like for this side, I had like barcodes that I needed to cover up. I just covered them with craft paper and some Mod Podge to give me a kind of blank canvas underneath the tissue paper we're going to add to this. So the sides don't have a lot, but they do have a little bit that might show through. So again, I just cut that paper down, Mod Podged it on. I also kind of Mod Podged on the top to make sure that these pieces were going to stay in place. Now, another thing you could do is just paint the entire thing. And that's something I thought about doing, but I really wanted to cover the entire vending machine with hearts. And so I have some tissue paper from the Dollar Tree, but again, I definitely needed a blank canvas. For this side, I just cut one piece and covered everything because there was a lot going on. That is going to be the front of it. The ends have a lot going on too, with like the little Amazon smiles and all the tape. So I had to cover them with the paper as well. I tried to cover everywhere that I thought was going to be a problem. And in the end, I just want a plain box. And so it was a little work doing this step, but I'm glad I did it. It's going to save me some time. I don't have to paint it. Now I want to cut the front as a door. I want the vending machine to be able to open, and I just want it to have like a door on the front of it to be able to do that. So I just cut the box right there at the seam at the bottom. With a razor blade, I'm going to cut it down the side, and I don't know what happened right there, but I hit a little snafu, but that's okay. We can just trim that part off. And then the top too. So it's going to open out towards you so that you can get all the candy and presents that are going to be inside. I don't really need the flaps, so I went ahead and removed those as well. And so now we have a box that kind of opens like kind of like a refrigerator right now. Now that I have that all prepared and cut open, we can cover it with the tissue paper. This is the tissue paper. I just used one package of this for the entire thing. They gave me a lot of the heart pattern, which was nice. The only thing I was worried about is that I didn't paint it underneath and the white tissue paper was going to go over the brown box. I thought it was going to be kind of dull, but a lot of this is going to be just like the sides, top, back of the machine. And so I think it's going to be okay. So I'm going to start there on the very front of the little vending machine, and I cut a piece down to size for that flap. And then I just added Mod Podge all over, a thinner coat, and then went on with the tissue paper. This part was actually pretty easy. The preparation was probably the hard part. And then I'm going to just take this piece and make it go all the way around, and I can get it to go about halfway across the back. So that's perfect. So I just glued it to the side and then glued it to the back. Now I'm using Mod Podge because I have that readily available, but you could always use school glue. That kind of stuff would work well too. And I am going to start with another piece. So we did the flap all the way halfway to the back. So now I'm going to go here on the other side where the flap opens, cut this down to like the right height, and then I'm going to attach it here. Now, one step I wish I would have done right here was not go right to the edge. I wish that I would have overlapped the edge and went inside a little bit, because you could kind of see the cut box there, and I did have to cover that up in the end. And then I'm going to have it just overlap slightly here in the back. So I did cut that down and glued it onto the back as well, trimming off any excess tissue paper. Now I have most of the box covered. The only parts that are not covered are the top and the bottom. I don't want any of the original box to be visible, so let's go ahead and cover those too. I just cut down another square of it. Doesn't really matter here which direction the hearts are going. That is on the bottom. And then this is what I was talking about. I wish I would have done that on the sides, like bring it over the edge of the box. It's just going to make it look more finished. And if you're going to cover yours with tissue paper, I would suggest doing that for sure. I had thought about wrapping it like a gift, but I wanted to be able to have this flap open, and so I wanted to cut that and have that wrapped separately. Now for the window of our vending machine, we're going to use the acrylic board from Dollar Tree in the 8x10 size and have it be over here on one side. So I need to cut a window. I just sketched out the size of the 8x10 acrylic board on the inside of the box, trying to leave room for a little bit of a panel on one side. And then we are going to cut that out with a razor blade. Now I'm going in for my lines about a half an inch, so I have some part of the box that I can glue to the acrylic board. And just trying to cut out a rectangle here. This is going to be the window on the front of the vending machine that you're going to be able to see all of the things through. And so that is an important part of the design. Now, I was able to cut almost through there, but some of the tissue paper did not cut all the way through. So I'm going to cut it from the other side to make sure that none of that tears. It is a little bit delicate when you're working with tissue paper. And remove this entire panel. I think I have about got it. Let's just go ahead and cut this one again and then pop out our extra piece of cardboard here. Now this is the acrylic board. I went ahead and peeled off the protective coating so that I could attach it, and I'm going to attach it with hot glue. Now be very careful you don't get hot glue on the acrylic boards. It's a little bit hard to clean up. And so I try to avoid strings or any of those pieces if possible. And then I peeled off the lining there on the back. Now, I noticed that the door wanted to go in a little bit, And so I needed something to be able to like close the door on, a little bit of a ledge, and something that I can use to make it open and shut and stay open and shut. So I used the extra pieces of box flaps that I had here, and I just cut down strips here. And again, I'm going to put them inside the box just a little bit. And this really helped with the structure of it. I don't want it caving in, and I want to be able to have some way to open and close it. So I just added hot glue here to the edges of that. And my flap was only so long, so I did have to do it here in multiple pieces. I trimmed this one a little too short, but I went in and braced it. I went ahead and hot glued that and added another little piece here in between. So it is sturdy, and now I have something to close the door against. Now to keep the door closed, I'm going to use some Dollar Tree Velcro. I just need a couple pieces of this. I'm going to do one at the top and one at the bottom. It's going to keep the door closed, but it's going to make it easy enough to open. So that worked pretty well. It made it functional. And you can kind of see that seam there where I cut the box that I was talking about, that I kind of wish that I went all the way in with my tissue paper. I will cover that up with trim. I'm going to also cover up like the seam, the beginning and end of the window here. And I just did that with some white ribbon. I had some like thinner white ribbon. I just added tacky glue to the back, and I'm going to kind of frame out the glass on the front of the vending machine just to clean it up and make sure you can't see any hot glue or anything like that. So I did one for each side. And then I'm also going to frame it out the top and the bottom. Ribbon can be a really fun thing to use for like kind of fixing a problem area of a DIY like this. I really hope you're enjoying today's video. You'll have to come in the comments and let me know which gift basket today was your favorite. I really enjoyed coming up with this one. It was so much fun. It kind of reminds me of the claw machine that I made in my last video. If you haven't checked that out, I will link that at the end of today's video. It was so much fun. Now, I did make some printables here that I will include in the description of today's video. I did a banner to go across the top that says Sweet Treats, a Valentine's Day theme. I printed mine out on cardstock, and I'm going to attach it here with some tacky glue to the top. And that basically filled up the entire top. Then I designed this panel. This is going to be like the side panel with like the buttons, the credit card machine, where you put your money in, that kind of thing. And I'm going to cut that out and put this over here on the side. Now, I don't have a lot of room over here on the side. I'm going to have to overlap a little bit. But I had a lot to get on there, so I tried to make it kind of flush here with the side. And it'll have to slightly overlap the acrylic, but that's not a big deal. And I printed these all out on cardstock, and I will include the link to all three of these. This is going to be the little flap door that you push at the bottom of your vending machine. I'm not going to make it functional, but you could if you wanted to. And I'm going to add tacky glue to the back of that one and add that here as well. So now this is really coming together. It's starting to look like a vending machine. When I trimmed out the windows, I kind of covered them up with the side and the top there, right? And so I am going to add another piece here of the white ribbon for the top, just to kind of frame the whole thing out. We are going to add some lights and things too to light up our little vending machine, but I thought that looked a little unsymmetrical when I covered up the top and the right side. So I added another piece of ribbon to both to kind of frame that out and make that look like it makes sense a little bit more. And then I just want to remove this so it kind of has like a real corner here, and that looks better. So I just fixed that area of our little vending machine. Now this area was bothering me, the side of the box that you could see, and so I'm going to cover that up with just some red ribbon. And again, just kind of make this look a little bit better, but it adds to the Valentine's decor as well. So I'm going to add tacky glue to the back of that. I usually like to use tacky glue when I'm working with ribbon because sometimes it will, seep through with hot glue. But sometimes you need hot glue, especially when you're going around an edge like this. So I did add hot glue for this step to be able to wrap the ribbon around and to finish off that seam and make it look so much better. So we have this shell of the vending machine complete, and now we need to make the shelves in the inside. I'm going to do that with some of the foam board from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut a piece a little bit shorter and a little bit skinnier than needed. And that is going to be the back of the machine because you're going to be able to see in there. I don't want you to be able to see the box there in the back. So let's just go ahead and cut this down. We're also going to be using the foam board for all of the shelves and the mechanics here inside the vending machine. And so I just cut that piece out. It doesn't have to be perfect. I really just need it to cover the top left side. So I make it flush with that corner. And I just used hot glue to attach this here in the back. Now it is going to need shelves to put all the items in for the vending machine. So I'm going to kind of measure how big those need to be. I thought I would cut a strip all the way across the foam board, and that would be able to give me several shelves. So I just cut one piece using that for reference. I cut another, and this is going to give me 2 shelves and a top and a bottom. So I think that's going to be good. I'm not going to do the sides of the machine. I don't think that you can really see them. So I'm going to kind of measure how wide these need to be and cut these down. I was hoping I could get 2 out of each one, and I totally can. So now we have our 2 shelf pieces here. I tried it on and I realized that little ledge that I added there at the top is going to prevent the shelf from being that wide. So I do need to make it a little bit skinnier. And that was way better. So now it's just a little bit long and that fits perfectly. So now I can use that for reference for all 4 of them. I'm just going to attach the little foam board shelves in there by gluing it directly to the sides of the box and the foam board there on the back. So now we have all 4 of our pieces cut out. If they look a little rough, you can always sand these to if you have any torn paper or anything like that, just to make it look a little bit better. I'm going to have 2 shelves here with all the products on it in front of the glass. And I want to kind of test out some of the things I'm going to put in the little vending machine for size. I'm going to put some toys that I found from the Dollar Tree on the top shelf, and I'm going to do candy on the bottom. So I'm trying to find like the tallest one, which is probably the Hershey bar. And I think that's going to work for placement. So really important to kind of measure what you're going to add to your vending machine so you don't have any surprises at the end. I drew a little reference line so I knew exactly where to add this, and I hot glued this in. Now I would recommend putting hot glue on the piece that goes to the backboard, but not the sides. As you can see, since it was kind of a tight fit, it was harder to glue the sides. So you're going to have to glue those afterwards with a bead of hot glue on each side. Now, again, checking my sizes, I'm going to draw a line here for the second shelf. This time I only added the hot glue to the back, and I glued that in line with that line, and then I went in and added the hot glue to the sides. The items I'm adding to this are not super heavy, so the shelves don't have to be too durable, but I definitely want it to stay together. Now, the other 2 shelves, I did one for the top, and I did one for the bottom, just to kind of finish everything out. I just attached those to the box with hot glue as well. And the right side is not going to be visible. Everything's going to be kind of over on the left side where I added the glass. The first thing I found were these little Minecraft toys from the toy aisle at Dollar Tree. And then I found these little card games too. I thought those were perfect for this. I'm going to use some of this decorative wire. I actually got this at Michael's. I haven't been able to find this at Dollar Tree in a while. It's a heavy duty wire. I think this is going to be really easy to make the little coils that hold things in the vending machine. So these are my larger items. So I'm going to have a larger ring, and I'm just going to wrap these around enough times that I can hold 3 items, and I'll have a coil like that. I'm cutting these down with a little pet nail trimmer from Dollar Tree. I love that for cutting wire. And I think that will work perfectly. I love the way this turned out. And the black color is really good for this too. Black or silver I think would work really well. I'm not going to attempt to try to glue this. I think it would be too difficult, especially with the metal. So I just used some packing tape and I taped down the back coil and just making sure they're the right size. And then I also taped down like the second coil. So it won't be visible, but it should be able to keep that attached to the foam board. Now I had to do a separate one here for the card games. This time I only needed to hold 2 items. So I kind of took that into account when I was designing these pieces. And again, just attaching it with some packing tape here, but trying to make that like where it won't be visible. I think that's going to work. So now let's look at candy. I found all these candies at Dollar Tree. I have the Reese's Hearts, Hershey bars, Snicker bars, and Kit Kats. And I thought these would be perfect for a little vending machine because they look just like the big candy bars, right? So this time I'm going to make my coils a little smaller because I have the smaller candy bars. And each package held 4 candy bars except for the Snickers. So we're going to do 4 for each of them just to make it make sense here. So I just did 4 of the smaller coils, and I think that will fit nicely behind that 8x10 acrylic. I think you're going to be able to see everything. This was such a fun gift to make. I really had a great time trying to come up with this one for you guys. I hope you're enjoying today's video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, share my video. YouTube is really, really slow for me right now. No matter what I try, I cannot get YouTube to share my content out, and it's getting very discouraging. So anything you can do, like, comment a couple of times, subscribe to my channel, hype the video, it would be very much appreciated. And again, just like before, I'm going to tape down the back coil and then like the second one so you can't really see it. And I'm lining everything up over here on the left side. I think this is so fun. Anybody that receives this is going to love it. Great for a little kid, but you know what? You could always modify this and give it to just about anyone. They are going to love the creativity. Now, I think that's it. The only thing I have left to do is light it up. I picked these string lights from the Dollar Tree because they had the most on there, the 30 lights instead of 10. The only thing I don't like about these is they are wrapped really kind of crazy. And if you do not carefully unravel these, you will get them so wound up with each other and tangled that you'll never be able to get them out. What I have found to work the best is to put the battery pack through it a couple of times, and then you'll kind of get a hold of the end and you're able to unwind those without the nightmare. But you definitely have to take your time with that step. Now I'm going to light up the little front panel. I thought that would be a good place to add all the lights. So I'm just going to start with the very end of it. I just added a dot of hot glue and added that to the acrylic. I don't want to use hot glue everywhere else because, again, I don't want to be getting hot glue strings all over my acrylic. It's so hard to get off. So instead, I just used some packing tape and wrapped this around, and I'm going to have it go just inside where the acrylic is visible there so you can see the lights, but trying to tape it on the inside or the outside of it so you can't see it from the inside. And I just wrapped around until I did not have any more lights. I was able to get it lit up pretty well, but I think adding the lights to it is definitely the secret. Definitely makes it look electronic. It makes it look powered on. So really fun idea for that. This last row, I kind of just had to do the bottom again, which is fine. And now it is all lit up and ready for a treat. So let's load up the vending machine. I'm going to start first with the candy and just add them all to the coils. You can always adjust this a little bit if you need them to pinch them a little bit tighter to keep things in place. But I wanted all of my candy like on one row. That kind of makes sense for me. And then we'll do like the toys on the other level here, the other shelf of the vending machine. And I love these little Minecraft toys. These are so cute from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to add those here. And then the card games, I could only find 2 different ones, but I think that's enough. I'm going to add 2 of those up here as well. And they are a nice size to go with the Minecraft toys. So I'm just going to add these in here, what it would look like if they were in a vending machine. And I think this is ready to go. I'm going to Velcro the door shut. So that is how they can get the things out of it. So fun without destroying the box. And this is how it turned out. A little Valentine's Day vending machine. Super fun. You can put whatever you want in there. And this is a really fun Valentine's Day gift. And I love the vending machine theme. The lights really make it, I think, make it extra special. Isn't that so cute? I really hope you enjoyed today's Valentine's Day Dollar Tree DIYs. These are DIYs I've made this year on my channel. I had a great time putting this together for you. Let me know which one was your favorite down in the comments below. You can find me at Crafty Beach on YouTube on all social media. And this is my QR code if you would like to buy me a coffee.
Give me love, give me all your love, oh, 'cause I want you. No one else makes me feel this way, don't know what you do. Hold my hand, could you hold my hand, look me in the eyes. You and me, yeah, that's all I need, and I'll be alright. I'll be right here. I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me closer. I wanna stay here with you. All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side. Be who you are and you'll be enough. If you're giving me your love, giving me your love. All that we have is each other now. Promise you won't leave my side. I hope who I am is enough for you. If I'm giving you my love, giving you my love, love. Tell me what you wanna do. I'll do anything. As long as I can be here with you, everything's alright. I'll be right here. I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me closer. I wanna stay here with you. All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side. Be who you are and you'll be enough. If you're giving me your love, giving me your love. All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side. I hope who I am is enough for you. If I'm giving you my love, giving you my love, love, love. Give me love, give me all your love, give me all your love. Give me love, give me all your love, give me all your love. Give me love, give me all your love, give me all your love. Give me love, give me all your love, give me all your love.
Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of today's video. I would also like to thank my YouTube members for supporting my channel. Thank you so much to Jamie Job, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, I Am Mojo Jojo, Maren Christensen, Adrian Brault, Debbie Middleton, Red Mama, Pal Puppy Life, Renee Albanese, Jenny, Debbie Austin, James Osborne, Lizette Thomas. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you would like to join the membership, you can get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube. Now, would you like even more Dollar Tree DIY crafting inspiration? Be sure to check out one of these DIY videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting.